Kratos struggled to remember the weeks prior to his imprisonment. To the time when he set out to break his bond with Ares, the god of war.
Your thoughts are not your own, but I can help you.
My gifts. She must have them all.
You have no reason to trust me, Spartan. I only ask that you try.
And welcome back to Let's Play God of War Ascension. This is episode 4. This is going to be the last recording of this first recording session. Give a little peek behind the curtain. I'm doing this in 3 bulk recording sessions, with the first session being episodes 1 through 4. Welcome to Chapter 10, the Temple of Delphi, or Delphi, or whatever you want to call it. We start this chapter off with a very long battle against a Cerberus. And it is a very long battle in Titan mode. It is... Oh man, of course I dug right in there and avoided it. Avoided my thrown world weapon. Cerberus is another big juggernaut-like enemy, similar to Elephantars. We don't see them that often. They are annoying the few times they do pop up. They have a few attacks, nothing overly that you need to be worried about. In this particular fight, the Cerberus is always going to be joined by various hounds. You can use your magic to repel them, because you're going to have plenty of magic at this point because of the green and blue chests that are given to you right before this encounter. At this point, you should also have 2 magic bars, so you can do 2 magic attacks, 2 Fire of Ares attacks, because at this point, there's no possible way you're going to have... At this point, there's no possible way you're going to have more than 1 magic attack to actually work with, so 2 Fire of Ares attacks. I speed it up here, similar to the Medusa fight, because again, not overly difficult in what you have to do, just time-consuming. Like, even now, this is still like 30 seconds of 200% sped up footage, and it still takes that long to kill this Cerberus, or to even get to a point where we're almost kill the Cerberus, to get to the point where we do anything interesting with the Cerberus fight. I believe, yeah, here we go. Now we can actually ride it. We can ride the Cerberus, and we do have some minor controls when we do ride it, similar to when Kratos rides a troll. We can attack other enemies. We can use the square attack, or to do those little 3 balls of fire, the triangle attack to shoot flames, as the Cerberus just did. You can also make sure you do that final QTE of moving the right stick left and right a bunch, in order to make sure that you don't get thrown off the Cerberus and take damage, but rather you throw the Cerberus and it takes damage. So make sure to hit those QTEs. When the Cerberus is ready to die, you can go ahead and just rip off its heads in a particularly brutal takedown. Killing the Cerberus that way gives you blue orbs. You could also kill it normally and just get a bunch of red orbs, but killing it that way gives you blue orbs all the time. Just like how killing an Elephantar / Juggernaut with the exposing the brain minigame gives you green orbs as well as red orbs. In Titan mode, it doesn't mean a lot, but, you know, it's there, so it's nice. You might as well take advantage of that. Especially since in Titan mode, there's no way you're going to have enough red orbs to upgrade all your stuff anyway, so you might as well get the advantage where you can. But yeah, I'm going to be recording this in 3 bulk recording sessions. The first session is episode 1 through 4. The second session is 5 through 8. And the third session is going to be 9 through 12 and the extras video. The extras video being about 30 minutes long. I should mention that not all the videos in the series are going to be 40-something minutes each. Like, so far, the first 4 episodes have been 40-something minutes each, because that's just how it shook out. But, for example, the next recording session I'm going to be doing, episode 5 is, like, not even 20 minutes. Episode 6 is, like, not even 30 minutes. Episode 7 is, like, barely over 30 minutes. And then episode 8 is going to be one of the mega-sized episodes, where it's going to be at almost an hour. And then 9 through 12, again, some short episodes, one more mega episode. So they're not all going to be consistently 40-something minutes each, is my point. Sometimes they are going to be shorter, sometimes they're going to be longer. The gimmick of the Temple of Delphi, and I love the Temple of Delphi, all the notes here are from the Prophetcaster, who is the guy that we'll be meeting pretty soon, in a cutscene in like a couple of minutes, actually. The gimmick of the Temple of Delphi is the gas. The gas that makes things old and decrepit. That gas is basically going to be used for a variety of puzzles that you have to get through in order to actually find the Oracle. So, in that first puzzle's case, most of the puzzle's cases, it's all about making things decrepit and old in order to break down certain walls. Not in every case. Sometimes you're going to be making things old and decrepit to make certain platforms appear or disappear. But most of the time, you make things old and decrepit in order to break down certain walls, in order to explore new areas of the temple. That's the whole gimmick of the Temple of Delphi, using that gas. In the meantime, though, we have ourselves another cutscene. So I'll see you in just a minute.
Hurry! Before the Master approaches!
You! We have given you all you need for success, and yet you still fail us. The statues were to be completed by now.
It is a massive task you have set before us, Master. My brothers, they need food and rest.
You have not been asked to speak! And who will be next? You there! You are now charged with the task of completing the statues.
As you wish.
We hope your work is better than that of your friend here. We can no longer stand the sight of you. You make us sick. Worthless lot, pathetic. Every last one of them.
So that old guy was the Prophetcaster. That's the guy who all the notes are about or from in this particular case, in this particular area. He's not the Oracle of Delphi, but he does play a role in us finding the Oracle of Delphi. For now, though, we're going to go ahead and follow this cutscene and break down that door. You don't actually have to do that. If you want a speed run, just go for breaking down the equally decrepit door on the left, which is going to look just like this, and we'll see in a few minutes. This area is purely bonus. There is nothing here but some extra stuff. Some extra white chests, some extra red chests. I guess this is another example of Ascension doing the going off the beaten path. Going off the beaten path and encouraging you to explore and get yourself some extra upgrade gear. It's kind of not, though, because Ascension is very deliberately, the game is very deliberately leading you to this area first, even though there's absolutely nothing here to move the game forward. It's kind of weird, because that first bonus room back in the village of Kira that we went to, the one with the big rolling mechanism that we had to stop in order to get to the white chests that were above the room, that was a completely different kind of bonus room. Like, there was no indication that you could go that way or do stuff in there at all until you actually went in there and explored. Whereas in this case, in the Temple of Delphi, the game is deliberately leading you to this particular hallway first, where there is absolutely nothing that moves the game forward. There's absolutely no story content here. I mean, besides one painting that you can read a little bit about, there's absolutely nothing here to move Kratos forward in his goal of finding the Oracle. So it's kind of strange that the game leads you here first, even though this is a bonus area, and didn't instead show the doorway on the left, which leads to the real area that you can go to. I don't know. It's very strange. Very strange how Ascension does this sometimes. The Sacred Mist shows the life and death of everything it touches, and basically you can interact with the death if you want to. That's what we've been interacting with. That green gas that Kratos keeps touching is the Sacred Mist of Delphi that shows the death of all things, and not touching it shows, the life of all things. It's a pretty cool gimmick for this portion of the game. It's pretty cool that the upcoming boss, the first real boss battle of this game, also incorporates this green gas gimmick as well. I believe now we're going to get the rage attack for the lightning, just to have that. This is not super necessary to have, like, at all, but it is nice to have more options than just the fire. Even though the fire is completely broken and the best element / magic in the game, I do like to have some options with the lightning and with the other element that we're going to get later in this particular video. That fucking statue, by the way. This is a statue depicting the Prophet Castor. It looks nothing like that old man. I mean, there's a reason for that, but it's funny that we have these statues here depicting a very handsome, well-cut man, but we just saw what the Prophet Castor really looked like, and it's just a decrepit old guy. This is a particular piece that that particular note came from Alethea herself, as opposed to the Prophet Castor. That's what I believe. That's like one of the only times we read a note from Alethea herself and not just Castor. We'll get into what Alethea is all about, though, because even though we're about to come to the end of our first quest of finding the Oracle is still going to play a big role for the majority of the rest of the game after this. So, never fear. There's going to be plenty of time to talk about Alethea and her role in all of this, and the kind of visions that she sees. And just kind of like the implications of oracles in this universe, because there's a weird thing about oracles, and this, by the way, you can break all those little lanterns there if you wanted extra red orbs. I didn't, but you could. But yeah, it's kind of weird, the implications of the oracles. Once we get into what happened to Alethea and what we're actually looking for and stuff, and the stuff we're going to be looking for later and such, it's pretty weird implications for what oracles are like in this universe. I don't know, it's pretty cool, but it's pretty weird when we actually get to that. For now, though, we need to deal with a new class of enemy, sirens, imbued with the lightning of Zeus. These are the worst enemies in the game. You can block most everything they do, but they deal so much damage, and they come up at the worst possible times. They are the most annoying enemies in this game. I hate them. Everybody hates them, especially the encounter we have with two of them way later down the line. Like many different kinds of mythical enemies in this game, we don't encounter that many of them in Ascension for some reason. In the case of the Siren, that's a good thing, because the Siren sucks, but yeah, we don't really see these that often and throughout our adventure in Ascension. So enjoy seeing them now. You can't block that attack. That scream the Siren does with a shorter range than their other lightning attacks. You can't actually block that, so I wouldn't try. And that scream that she does do more damage than the lightning bolts that she hurls or the lightning that she strikes down from the sky. That little scream, that scream right there does more damage than any other attack she does. So be careful of that scream. Similar to the stomp that the Juggernauts can do. Killing the Siren in the little cutscene there, as opposed to just killing her normally with the blades, gives you blue orbs, as opposed to just red orbs. Blessed is the one who is chosen to bear the eyes. Yeah, that's a weird implication. Because basically the whole implication here is that there's only one set of eyes that can actually see visions of the future and stuff. And all the oracles themselves, like the actual people themselves, don't bear the ability to be able to see the future and stuff. They just wear the eyes and see the future that way. It's very strange. It's very interesting, but it's very strange that that's the way visions are conducted in this particular universe. That oracles themselves don't have that ability. It's just that they're chosen to bear magical eyes that can see the future, and they gouge out their own eyes as commitment to their role, in order to bear the eyes that can actually see things the way that they need to be seen. This is my little extra room. You don't have to come in here, but this is just a way to get 2 more white chests. Neat little puzzle. You don't have to use the statue of the Prophet Caster to do anything else except for this bonus puzzle. You don't actually need it to progress with this area or complete this chapter, because we're almost done with chapter 10 right now. I really like the Temple of Delphi. It's aesthetic. I like the sound design of Kratos hitting the floor. It sounds really nice. I really like it. Yeah, Ascension has a lot of good stuff going for it. Some stuff that doesn't really go for it that well, but a lot of stuff that really works about it. Anyway, once you hit that particular bit of green gas there, make sure you roll fast, because we have hit Chapter 11, Delphi Catacombs. But make sure you roll fast in order to destroy that particular door for 2 more white chests. There is opportunity to get these white chests later on in the chapter, but this is the earliest opportunity you can get them, and I would recommend you do that now. And now we have our final element.
Search for truth. The souls of Hades will aid your quest.
Yeah, this is the final element. Not really an element. It's not... we had fire, electricity, ice, and now soul is our final element. And this one is arguably my second favorite element to use. Practically, it's not as useful as the Fire of Ares, but in terms of enjoyment of using it, I like using the Soul of Hades a lot. I do die here because it's a very difficult battle, and I didn't take advantage of the Ascension camera thing, where, you know, enemies that are not on the screen don't attack you. When you do restart from dying there, you have to be careful and be very fast in order to open the door again to get the 2 white chests again, because you're not going to be able to get them otherwise. The Soul of Hades is very useful. It is nowhere near as powerful as the Fire of Ares, but it is great for dealing with large crowds of enemies. It can temporarily push them back with that giant hand. Its rage attack is very useful for stun locking one enemy, for stun locking an enemy at a time. Now we get to see some other things that the Soul of Hades can do, some of its moves. Here's its magic attack. Bunch of hands, big area of effect attack. Very good again for dealing with large crowds. That's why I like Soul of Hades so much, because it's so good at dealing with large crowds. There's a couple of its attacks that you can do. Nothing that particularly useful. I don't really use the extra attacks all that much with the Soul of Hades. What I usually use it for is what you're seeing right now for crowd control. And its rage attack is also pretty good too, for stun locking a lot of enemies. Yeah, I said one enemy before, but the Soul of Hades rage attack actually stun locks a lot of enemies at once, and it's very useful. I don't know if I'm a fan of these battles that you have to do immediately after getting an element. Like, I get why they're here, but I don't know. Especially for the elements that you don't like in subsequent playthroughs, you're stuck with the element. Like, I can't actually switch to the Fire of Hades, the Fire of Ares right now if I wanted to. I'm stuck using the Soul of Hades right now, and it's not upgraded at all, so I don't have any of the advantages I normally would later on. So I don't know if I really like that decision all that much. Anyway, we got them all, though. There's no more elements to collect. Those are the 4 main elements. Those are the 4 main upgrades. There's still a couple more upgrades and gear things we're getting later on in the game, but nothing new, nothing super great. Again, a disadvantage of God of War Ascension. There isn't that much gear to work with in Ascension. It's just your blades, the elements for your blades, and then 2 other things. Technically 3 other things, but the third thing you get so late that it's barely even a thing that you can use. It's more just like a story thing, as opposed to actual gear. Anyway, now we fight these, boy, what are these things? I'm gonna call them Sentinels. Sometimes I might call them Colossals. These things are not that tough. They come in 4 variants: a fire variant, an ice variant, a electric variant. Actually, only 3 variants. They come in fire, ice, and electric variants. Depending what variant you fight is going to change what their desperation attack is. Their desperation attack they do 2 times every time you fight them. After you deal enough damage, they will get into a rage mode where they can't be hurt, and they will engage in one of their special desperation attacks. In the case of the fire ones, they leap up into the sky and crash back down, as you'll see it do right now again. Leaps up into the sky, tries to land on Kratos. Big area of effect shockwave, bigger than you'd think. Every single Colossal / Sentinel / metal armor thing here is weak to the Lightning of Zeus. Every single one. It doesn't matter what variant they are. It doesn't matter if they're the fire variant, the ice variant, or even the electricity variant. They're all weak to the electricity, so I would absolutely recommend you only use the Lightning of Zeus against these guys, because the Lightning of Zeus works best against these guys. It's the only thing that really... I mean, you'll see after that thing is done harassing me there, that it actually knocks them back. The Fire of Ares doesn't do that. The Soul of Hades doesn't do that. The Ice of Poseidon doesn't do that. Only the Lightning of Zeus effectively knocks them back and stuns them, allowing you to get more hits in. So definitely only use the Lightning of Zeus when fighting these guys. I mean, see, it just knocks them back and stops them from doing anything. They become nothing to worry about. I mean, kind of to worry about, because they're desperate. Because the fire version's desperation attack is pretty devastating. But like the electricity version and the ice version have much worse desperation attacks than the fire version, in my opinion. So these enemies are even easier. When you're fighting the ice version and the electricity version later on. For now, though, they have both been dispatched, and we can move on with just some more exploring. I'm also going to be breaking a lot of stuff here. I missed an opportunity before with breaking those lanterns holding the fire in those original hallways to get some red orbs. I don't miss the opportunity here. Definitely, especially in Titan mode, break everything that you can to get as many red orbs as possible. Nothing wrong with investing your time in doing that, especially in Titan mode. But with that done, we can go ahead and move... Oh, actually, I'm going to upgrade. Yes, that's right. I'm going to upgrade my Soul of Hades to get the Rage Attack, because I would like to be able to fight at my best for, as soon as possible, especially in Titan mode. Anyway, now we're going to be moving the big statue head here, so we can climb up this little ladder. There we go. Very nice. Here's another note. A memorandum from the Prophet Castor. By the Oracle of Lethia's divine vision, all priests and priestesses of Delphi are to report directly to the Prophet for new work assignments. I'm sure the Oracle didn't actually say that, but, we met the guy. Doesn't seem all that nice. Doesn't seem all that gentlemanly or caring. So aesthetically, I like the Temple of Delphi. Gameplay wise, it's also pretty interesting with all the deterioration that you have to do with the green gas. I don't know though. Just after the Python thing, that was already kind of a different kind of quiet set piece, and now we have this. The game goes a long time before real epic moments. And the moment-to-moment gameplay is not... Oh, these are tombs of past oracles that we're defiling. Oops. Anyway, as I was saying, the game goes a long time before you get more epic moments to revel in and engage in. I don't know. Just compared to even Chains of Olympus or even the original God of War, which also kind of suffers from this problem. I mean, I guess it was okay in the original God of War, because the original God of War, there was still a lot of combat in the moment-to-moment gameplay, and a lot of puzzles in the moment-to-moment gameplay. Ascension does have puzzles and regular combat too, but it's nowhere near as difficult or as frustrating sometimes even as the original God of War, which means that you're really going to forget about all this moment-to-moment gameplay stuff. No matter how interesting it might look visually sometimes. You're just going long stretches without big things happening. And God of War is a franchise where big things happen, not all the time, but like consistently. And that doesn't really happen in Ascension. Again, it didn't happen in the original God of War either, but the original God of War had the advantage of having a lot more combat and a lot more puzzles in the moment-to-moment gameplay to keep you focused, to distract you from the fact that there aren't really that many giant set-piece moments aside from the Hydra, the Minotaur, and the boss battle at the end. Ascension doesn't really do that much. But really, I don't know what else they could have done, because the way the story is structured, I mean, if you didn't have that present day 3 weeks earlier vibe, that present day 3 weeks earlier framework that we're working with now, I don't know what you would have done, because you wouldn't have anything interesting for a long time in the chronological order version of Ascension. In the chronological order of Ascension, you do all this quiet stuff, and you only get to do the Hecatonchery stuff at the very, very end. I don't know. That doesn't seem very God of War. You want to have big epic set pieces to open up the adventure. And I missed the gate. I missed the gate, so I spend my time killing all these bat monsters in Retribution, and then I go ahead and do it again to actually move on. But yeah, I don't know. The structure of Ascension, the whole jumping back from 3 weeks ago to present day thing, kind of prevents you from... It kind of traps you into having a lot of quiet moments, because you don't want stuff happening 3 weeks earlier to be better than the stuff that was happening in present day, because the present day stuff is supposed to be the conclusion of the game, and that's... They're supposed to be more invested in that stuff than this, so I don't know. It's just... I do die here against these shades of Hades. Yeah, that's another thing. Ascension's weird pop-in problems. Something that you don't really see with Chains or any of the other God of Wars. Anyway, Shade of Hades. These are shades that you fight. You can block every single attack they throw at you, so that's good. However, you can't block all the time because eventually you are going to have to start trying to lay in some attacks. When the shades are moving from spot to spot using below the ground, when they're moving from one place to another below the ground, you can grab them with R1 and throw them back out to temporarily stun them to do some damage. Everything they do is blockable. I recommend you use your magic to try to disrupt them a little bit. You can also try and stun the copies that they make. You don't have to kill the copies if you don't want to. If you kill the original, the copies die. But if you want to attack the purple bluish copies and they get weak enough to be grabbed, then you can slam them into the real Shades of Hades to actually do some damage. I don't know if they have an elemental weakness. They might, but fire or electricity work fine against these guys, so whatever you want to do. Nah, these guys are annoying. You don't encounter them that much either. Similar to Elephantars, Juggernauts, all the other stuff. You don't really see these guys that often either, which is also a shame because they're pretty cool, they're pretty difficult, but the game doesn't force you to go up against them all that much. You can't really hear it that well because I'm talking, obviously, but the soundtrack of this game is really good. Like, I love all the music of this game. It's excellent. And I'm kind of falling into the trap of just listening to the music a little bit because it's really, really good. I'm listening to this on headphones so I can actually hear all the stuff that's going on and, you know, make sure I can catch any issues that pop up for final edits. Like, I spotted one instance of a loading within the game, which you may or may not see by the time this stuff is actually uploaded to YouTube, but I try to make sure all that stuff where you see the Omega symbol on the bottom right corner, like you did in the second episode of God of War Ascension, is not seen at all throughout the main experience, to try and cut down as much of that lag and in-game loading as possible. But I did see one during the recording of this video, which you may or may not see during when this is actually on YouTube. Anyway, we're done with the fight for now. So let's get into something kind of frustrating. I thought the game bugged out on me, but it didn't. Leading to the first restart of this playthrough. Two hops of victory, and we can finally officially move on. I had thought the game bugged out on me the first time I went through this, and I didn't realize that the door on the right stayed open when I pressed down on the button in the area where I fought the Shades of Hades. So that's my bad. That said, the other three restarts, because there are going to be more restarts, there's going to be 3 more restarts throughout the playthrough. The other 3 are the game's fault. This first one was definitely my fault because I didn't see the door open, but the other 3 are going to be purely the game bugging out. And we'll get into it when we get into it, because that's not here and there. Because that's not for here and now. For now, remember, ABE, always be exploring. Tear down any doors that you find that are deteriorated, thanks to that green gas. The whole point now is that we want to try to get that hourglass to press down on the button that it is above. Because we saw the Prophet Caster actually use that time distortion gas that he had himself built into some sort of weird orb or whatever. We want to, that he used to press the hourglass down on the button so he can actually get down to wherever he's hanging out now. We want to try and do that, but permanently, because Kratos doesn't have the advantage of having green gas on him. But we want to try to make sure that the hourglass presses down like it is right now, so we can actually go all the way down without having to worry about the hourglass coming back up, and thus preventing us from seeing the Oracle or the Prophet. Real quick, make sure to grab this. This is our 4th artifact. Yes, Alethea's Charm. It does something, you know. Well, again, we'll describe it in the New Game Plus. There's an image of Alethea herself wielding some sort of amulet. That amulet is actually something we'll be getting next episode, and we'll be learning more about next episode. It's actually how the Prophet Caster was able to lower the hourglass down so we can actually reach the Oracle's chambers, is with that amulet. And, you know, spoiler alert, we're going to get ourselves an amulet. It's one of the few pieces of gear Kratos is going to get to use in this game that isn't just his blades. For now, though, we have to worry about getting that hourglass down the old-fashioned way. Well, not the old-fashioned way, but in a more creative way than Caster did it. As you can see, now we have some green gas to work with in a room we previously visited, meaning we can do some different stuff in here than we could before. And real quick, you should visit that area where we press down the lever, because there's no more lever here. And now there are 2 red orb chests, so make sure to smash these chests to get yourself some extra red orbs, because obviously that's a good thing. You want more red orbs. Now we can start the process of moving the caster statue from this room to the previous room, the room with the hourglass. So that's what we're going to be doing now. But for now, we're going to want to jump down because there's going to be some fighting to do. Am I correct in that? Yes, there is. Some satyrs and some harpies. Harpies are a new type of flying enemy. You deal with them just as you would with any flying enemy. You just grab them, you toss them, eventually they die. Nothing to them. Take advantage of the camera thing that Ascension does, wherein if enemies are not on camera, then they're not going to attack you for some reason. Very rarely will they follow you onto camera to actually try to do some damage on you. Most of the time, they're just going to hang out wherever they are and just wait for you to show up to start fighting. I don't know why. It's a weird thing, but it's the way Ascension works, so we gotta take advantage of it. And there we go, another throw. And another throw. Remember, Titan mode, just keep throwing. Don't bother actually fighting them normally if you can just toss them. Unless there's only one left, in which case, you know, you can do whatever you want. Wrap it up. Okay, and that's it. So now the whole thing that we want to do is move the statue there, because once we consume that green gas again, we will see that the platform above that will fall, thus giving us opportunity to raise the statue to its proper positioning in order to get it from one room to the other. Ta-da. This, by the way, I believe is the opportunity for you to get those 2 white chests from the beginning of Chapter 11, Delphi Catacombs. If you have not gotten those 2 white chests yet, now that the green gas is here for you to use, you can actually really... You actually have barely enough time to make it back to where that original deteriorated door was in order to break it down and get the white chest. There's a secret white chest up here, by the way, for the extra Phoenix Feather if you want it. Now, I believe I'm going to show now that, yeah. This door is very close to that green gas that we were inhaling just now. It's basically just a very quick hallway down, very quick hallway run down from where we are. So if you haven't gotten those white chests from the beginning of Chapter 11 yet, now is the opportunity to do it with the green gas that is now available for you to use in this room. So if you want, you don't have to. But I would recommend you get all your Gorgon's Eyes and Phoenix Feathers as soon as possible, not just to have max health and max magic as soon as possible, but also because of what white chests give you after you've collected all the Gorgon's Eyes and Phoenix Feathers, because you still get stuff for opening the white chests after you collect all the Gorgon's Eyes and Phoenix Feathers. That's something we'll get into in episode 7, I believe. But now that we have something to hold down that button, we can actually come back here without having to worry about the door closing. The Oracle Alethea is receiving divine vision and is not to be disturbed. All seekers and their offerings must be shown only to the prophet. Yeah, sure. Whatever, man. This is Kratos. He really don't give a fuck about any of this. He works on his own schedule, you know? Anyway, we're basically at the end now. There's no more. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed. Next time, we're going to have a shorter video wherein Kratos will be taking on a boss. We'll be learning some more plot stuff. And then we'll be one step closer to where we were at the beginning of the game. To being captured, to being imprisoned, to having to break out in very epic fashion. So, until then, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you all next time for episode 5. Goodbye, and take care.
Place your offerings for Alethea. We will decide if they're worthy at our will.
I offer nothing.
You presume to seek audience with the Oracle, and yet you bring no offerings? Bold. Stupid, but bold. Although, you must have good reason to seek the Oracle, carrying such a mark. Return when you have brought appropriate sacrifice.
I have come to see the Oracle, and that is what I intend to do.
I would have liked to hear your story, warrior. It is a shame you fail to see reason. Remove him. We have to find a better slave trader.
Tolerate your impudence. You will not see her.